Good morning, good morning, everybody. It is Monday, May 1st. My name is Alan, and I want to welcome you to my Spiritual Growth Through Recovery podcast. Purpose of these videos is to grow my spirituality by following the AA program of recovery, and I do that by being honest, vulnerable, and accountable, which is why I make the videos. All right? I'm no expert in AA or spirituality or recovery. I'm just sharing my experience as I try to live life on life's terms and do it sober. All right? The recipe we follow here is we read the daily reading out of the AA Daily Reflections book, and I'll just share my take on what I took from the reading, as well as any other topic that I'm kind of working on personally. All right, so we can get started here. Today's topic is going to be healing heart and mind, and starting on a week-long topic of core values. All right, so let's get busy reading here. May 1st, healing heart and mind. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 55. Since it is true that God comes to me through people, I can see that by keeping people at a distance, I also keep God at a distance. God is nearer to me than I think, and I can experience Him by loving people and allowing people to love me. But I can neither love nor be loved if I allow my secrets to get in the way. It's a side of myself that I refuse to look at that rules me. I must be willing to look at the dark side in order to heal my mind and heart, because that is the road to freedom. I must walk into darkness to find the light, and walk into fear to find peace. By revealing my secrets and thereby ridding myself of guilt, I can actually change my thinking. By altering my thinking, I can change myself. My thoughts create my future. What I'll be tomorrow is determined by what I think today. All right. What do we think? What do we think of this reading today? So some things that kind of resonated with me were the whole idea of step 5, right? So 5th month of the year, typically a lot of step 5 topics. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of wrongs. Why do we need to share it to somebody else? If we write it down or just say it out loud or even think it and pray to God about it, why isn't that good enough? For me, sharing it with somebody else, it makes it real. Makes it. I can't justify or rationalize anymore what that secret is, right? So that's why I think sharing it with somebody else is so important. Okay? It talks about God comes to me through other people. When I keep people at a distance, I also keep God at a distance. I never really thought of this. Although I do kind of feel like there's some kind of spiritual connection between ourselves and God, I always felt that God is a separate entity, and so. I can actually believe this now. I was at a meeting yesterday, and I thought about this topic. And as I'm hearing other people share, it's actually resonated with me. That maybe hearing God through these other people as they're growing through this program, they speak to me, and that it kind of ties it all together. So I can see how that is relevant. God is nearer to me than I think. I've struggled my whole life to feel like I've experienced God in my life. Loving people and other people love me. I've always keep those people at a distance. I've always had people at a distance. I don't trust. It's hard to be vulnerable and then let people in, and maybe that's part of why God's been kept at a distance. So it's something to think about as I go forward in my relationships. All right. Secrets keep us sick. I hear this a lot in the AA program. My secrets get in the way. So if I'm not being honest and real, that stuff just seems to manifest themselves in some way to cause me to behave or think ways that don't benefit me. So, secrets definitely keep us sick. So I can see where that's relevant for me. It's a side of myself that I refuse to look at that rules me. Yep. No matter, I still have maybe a secret or two, and I can definitely see that those secrets, like I said, they manifest themselves in some way, and I don't want them to rule me anymore. I want them to rule me anymore. So I think that's just some progress that I can make to work on that. So my thoughts create my future. What will be tomorrow is determined by what I think today. Let's hope for change, right? Hope for change. So that's really good stuff in this reading today. The whole idea of people, God speaking through the people. So now the other topic that I want to talk about through the course of the week is going to be like a 5-day, every day of the week. talk about the core values, and then each day of the week, I'm going to share my 4 top core values. All right, so so I want to share those. So, what are core values? Why are they important? That kind of thing, and then I'll share my top 4. And then each day of the week, I'm going to share on those core values why they're important. So, what is a core value? It's a principle of belief that you hold most dear, it's essential importance to your life. It's a value, and we'll get into what that definition is, right? So I believe core values, they show what you believe are important in the way you live in your work. How I behave, how I act, tells me and everybody else what's most important to me, right? So look at the core value, 2 words. What does core mean, right? It's the definition of core. Central and often foundational part, usually distinct from, so central and foundational part. And then the other part is what everything else revolves around. So core values, what are some of the values that I hold most important to me? That the rest of my life revolves around, okay? So values, what does values mean? What are values, right? So like in a world that's constantly changing, what do we use to gauge our moral compass, right? What do we fall back onto to guide us? If we constantly use whatever the world tells us, that it's constantly changing, and then we constantly change. So values be something that's kind of a foundational piece, all right? Having values will provide us with a sense of stability, direction, and peace of mind. If I'm act a certain way in all situations, then my life is fairly stable. I'm not all over the place, you know. If I'm dishonest sometimes, then I'm going to go through this roller coaster of my reaction to the world and the world's reaction to me based on how honest I'm being, okay? Values are like a compass that lead us through this life that we want, no matter where we find ourselves. So that, you know, if I can say I'm going to be honest no matter what, I'm going to show courage no matter what, then that will kind of keep me, you know, aligned in a fairly straight path of where I'm going, okay? We can improve our decision making, our productivity, and our achievements. We can improve ability to love and be loved by having core values, right? Who am I in my core? Right? That's what I'm talking about here. So some examples of core values would be, are we accepting of other people? Are we adaptable? Are we compassionate? Are we disciplined? Are we humble? Do we have integrity? Do we show love? Are we responsible? Okay? So at some point I went through and made my top four core values. I can't remember. I think I found something online that you narrowed them down to maybe, you know, to the top 12, top 4. So the ones I picked were perseverance, humility, integrity, and sacrifice. Right? So not sure how well I'm doing some of those, but and what's good about this is I can circle back. Now that I'm sharing this, it brings me back to those and go, how am I doing? Where do I need to make improvements? So over the course of the next week, tomorrow I'll be on perseverance. Talk about that one, and then we'll talk about one each day of the week. So that's kind of the plan for the week. So really looking forward to this one. It's probably the most exciting week that I've had, so I'm really excited for this week. I hope you got something out of today's reading. But if you want to encourage you to, how are you doing with your relationships with other people? Are you seeing God speak through them? How open are you to? Are you keeping people away, or are you open to people in your life? This week I'm going to try to really open myself up to more to people in that vulnerability. Obviously, my actions, what happens to me is when my actions don't align with my values and I feel less about them, I feel less about myself, then I don't feel lovable. Then I push people away. Then I feel isolated. And so that's kind of the pattern that I go through. So it's challenge you to open yourself up to people and build those relationships. So anyway, hope you have a wonderful Monday. And back tomorrow for another podcast. So until then, peace out.